Welcome back, everyone. You will now learn about test preconditions in the context of test environments. Let's take a look at some of the common test environment prerequisites. Starting with availability. The test environment should be available and accessible to the testing team. This includes ensuring that the necessary hardware and software are in place and functioning correctly. The test network should be fully built and configured, including cloud connectivity where required, with all firewall exceptions being properly configured after approval from a security team. This will allow testers to get access to the correct applications at their workstations, whether they are office-based or at home. Now, let's look at environment configuration in more detail. The test environment should be configured properly to resemble the target production environment as closely as possible. This involves setting up the required operating system. Operating systems on a test environment could be platforms like Windows, Linux, or macOS. These operating systems are used to host and execute software tests. Next, we look at databases. This is where data is stored or retrieved by business users or a software function. Then there is the middleware. This is software that acts as a bridge between different systems or applications, allowing communication and data exchange. Next is reference data. Reference data in a test environment refers to static data in a database that can be referenced as part of a software application. Typical examples could be currency codes in a banking system or car make and model identifiers in an automotive database. Finally, there is test data setup, but this was covered as a prerequisite in the last 2 lessons, as there is a lot to discuss. You are unlikely to be asked to set up a test environment, but it's useful to understand how they work. We'll now look at the last piece of the jigsaw, which is purely test-related and important to you. First, there is the test tool setup. Test tools could typically be an application that logs test results and generates progress reports. You could also be lucky enough to have an automated test tool. An automated test tool will run tests by interfacing with the software or user interface, and they can also save the test results, for example, updating the status of a test if it is passed or failed. And this can be done without intervention. They are great once set up, but they can take a lot of configuration and possibly software development skills. So they are mainly used on stable software when you run repetitive tests. An essential test prerequisite is to check you have the correct level of access and permissions. For example, you may want to prove that a system user with read-only access can only view information and has no edit or delete access. You would also need to ensure that a user who can edit or add information is not restricted from doing so. A third level could be a system administrator, with extensive access to all parts of the system, including the ability to add or remove system users. Finally, the environment should be clean and free from any remnants of previous tests. So make sure you don't have data hanging around after the last test run. Let's remove it. Another way we can reset the environment is by clearing the cache, removing temporary files, and restoring databases to a known state with a preset system date. This will give you a clean start for every test cycle. By ensuring that these prerequisites are met, organizations can optimize their test environments for efficient and reliable testing, leading to higher software quality and faster release. That completes my lessons on prerequisites, and I hope you learned something useful. Now I will hand you back to Tony.
Thank you, Laura, for sharing your extensive knowledge.
You're welcome.
In the next lesson, we will look at test scripting and how these can build on test cases by adding multiple test steps. I will see you there. Remember, all lessons are free, so please like this video and subscribe to my channel. It costs you nothing and allows me to keep creating free content for you.